Hello, I'm going to be addressing my video for teaching segment of this course, specifically why I chose Screencast-O-Matic. Uh, Most important reason is it's very easy to use, it's free, and it integrates well with YouTube, which allows me to make whatever basic edits I need to do and upload directly from the program to my YouTube page and then get the link. It really does make things very, very quick and easy for me. How I've integrated it, there's a couple of ways I've done it. In the example that I've also posted in my assignment, you're going to see that I covered almost a news broadcast version of my teaching, explaining to students what they need to know, upcoming informational items like when they could pick up stuff from school, and just structuring how I present information to students on an information based on school and distance learning. The other way that I used it is to actually cover some of the content and skills. If you're covering a primary source document, for example, and it is somewhat dense and students are having a hard time understanding what they're supposed to answer based on the prompts that they've been given, it's important to have those supporting questions, those probing questions that I would give students. The video allows me to do that. It allows me to kind of go back a bit, touch on some previous lessons without having to give them a great deal more for them to read and review. And of course, for some students, just do well with that modality, being able to see it again. If you look at students with a special education plan, they would sometimes have a hard time understanding how to complete an assignment. If they had a video like this, something they could quickly reference, they could get from Teams or from OneNote or what have you, and just quickly review what is the basic goal of my writing. What was that skill he went over for economics class? Some of the barriers that I'm going to have to overcome. There are a couple of barriers when you look at Pine Middle School. We have had the richest of the rich. We've had students from Montreux. We've had the poorest of the poor. We've had students that are brand new to this country, less than a year, living in quite literally shacks with no door. We discovered this when we were giving out our end of 8th grade signs, and it really is kind of an eye-opener. It makes you realize that you need to do a better job as a teacher in order to try to reach every kid and where they're at economically and socially. In addition to doing my best to be cognizant that not all students are going to have the technology, I think some of the barriers are to make darn sure that I'm covering something simple enough and break it down enough so that the students who are ELL, who are special education, and who may not fit into any of those programs but do have some deficiencies in their understanding of the skill or content, that I can break it down in a video like this. They can go back, they can play it. To make sure also when I do this video and any other videos that I do, to be able to set closed captioning on and to make a reference to it, to make sure students understand that that is an option. The first thing I tried in teaching the class was, well, as you've seen in the example, to let students know what's going on. During distance learning, it is kind of a confusing time, and for some of our kids, there was some fear and some anxiety. And so instead of being able to be in a classroom with me, they were able to get something similar to what they would get. I'm able to explain the basics of what's coming up, what's due. How I would also do it, especially going forward, would be for things like primary source documents. We have what's called a DBQ document-based question. Each segment, each one of those documents could have a video where I'm breaking down, without giving them the answers, I'm breaking down things that they should consider. Those additional questions that allow students who may have missed school, may need to have some extra time in a resource room for special education or for ELL, to be able to get a quick refresher on what I want them to be aware of and what I want them to cover without me having to give out the answers. So it is a very successful program. I think Screencast-O-Matic is something that even without paying, in order to remove the watermark, it is something that teachers should really take a strong view of and possibly integrate into their classroom.